in business marketing, and after I graduated I got a job with Nestle, and I worked for them for about 2.5 years, and I realized I'm not that aggressive, so sales and marketing was not the field for me. So then I kind of resorted back to what makes me happy, and I knew that was working with kids, but I didn't think I wanted to be a teacher. So I kind of thought of counseling, and once I started going to school for that, it seemed to be the perfect fit, and then I ended up here, and I'm happy, so I can't complain. It all worked out for the best.
All through high school, from ages 14 to 18, I worked at Swenson's Ice Cream every weekend, scooping ice cream. Ooey gooey sticky chocolate was the best flavor. And then I ran off to college, and in college I was a server at the Olive Garden, and then also at the Cottage in downtown La Jolla, the breakfast restaurant. And then all through college I was pre-med, so I did applications and secondaries and all the terrible exams for going off to med school. And then just before heading off to med school, I decided I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. And I went off and substitute taught, and ended up getting a degree and becoming a teacher where I am today.
Hey there, I'm Mr. Shea. Before I was a teacher, I was actually doing a lot of musical theater. I'm originally from New York, and so I did a lot of singing, dancing, acting, lots of mostly tap and directing and acting, so that's what I used to do.
Before I became a teacher, I was in the Navy for 24 years. I spent most of my time in the submarine service. I did do a tour of duty at Naval Intelligence in Washington, D.C. I did deep submergence here in San Diego, and I even got to do an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf, where I was on the Admiral staff, on the Kitty Hawk Battle Group staff over the Persian Gulf.
My name is Mr. Unwin, and prior to becoming a teacher, I was a junior development engineer at Scripps Institution of Oceanography, and I worked in a department called the Institute of Geophysics and Planetary Physics. And my job was to build and install seismic stations, equipment that was designed to record earthquakes. So I worked with a lot of PhDs, really smart people, and I would help them out by installing the equipment, travel all over the country, and that's what I did. It was a pretty fun job. It was a unique job. Not very many people get to do that kind of stuff. And I actually still get to do it over the summertime. They let me come back and do the same work over the summer, so it kind of helps out with the pay.
When I was a graduate student studying geology at University of Houston, I got the opportunity to go to Libya and live in Tripoli and work for the National Oil Corporation of Libya. So I worked for Gaddafi's company, and I was one of 2 female geologists in the whole country of Libya at that time. And we were known, no matter where we went, they followed us.
I was a fashion buyer. I bought for Robinson's May, Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, and BCBG.
I used to deliver beer, I used to fix copiers, I worked for Coca-Cola, had a variety of small jobs. I used to drive a pedicab in Balboa Park. I used to do a lot of interesting things before I decided I needed to become a teacher.
In high school, I read this book called The Brethren, about the Warren Court in the 70s, the Supreme Court. And I suddenly wanted to be a Supreme Court judge. So I went to college and studied human rights law, legal theory, constitutional law, and was really, really passionate about it. Wanted to go to college in Washington, D.C. But then I started interning at law offices and actually found that on a day-to-day basis, I did not want to do what lawyers did. And then it took a whole new turn in my life.
I'm Raina Stoll, and before I became a teacher at CCA, I was a marriage and family therapist, and I worked primarily in group homes and teen recovery centers for about 8 years. And I also was dancing professionally with a company in San Diego.
Hi, I'm Mr. Rains, and when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be on TV. And I went to college, and I majored in television and film, and I ended up being a television anchor and reporter at 3 different affiliates, an ABC affiliate, an NBC affiliate, and a CBS affiliate, and I did that for 8 years. And it was a really cool experience. I met 2 presidents, a lot of TV and film stars, some big music acts I interviewed, and had a really good time. But I started working in youth ministry and in a volunteer capacity outside of work in TV, and I realized that I really liked working with teenagers, and that led to me taking a job as a teacher And now I've been doing that for a really long time, and it's been exciting to be able to continue to work in the art area that I loved growing up, and seeing other people get on TV through my experience, and but still have a really cool job of investing in others and supporting them in this really cool field.
I first moved to California. I was a ski instructor for one season at North Star in Lake Tahoe. When I moved to San Diego, I spent a couple seasons working at Mammoth and Big Bear as a holiday instructor. This was all before I became a teacher back in 2008.
Hi CCA, I can see the moon even though it's the day, but it's funny. But anyway, my name is Stacano, and before I became a teacher, I was working in Munich, Germany as the language coordinator for, I was organizing all the classes for German, English, French, and Spanish. Okay, so I did that for 6 years, and I spoke fluently German back then, and that's the only language I spoke. It was a lot of fun because I made a lot of money, and I had 6 weeks vacation, so I loved it. However, I want to say that my main job has always been to be a mother. I'm the mother of 2 kids, 22 and 23, and that's always been my number one thing in my whole life, okay? Come on, kind of moving, facing us. Come on, and mind and bring us up. Come on, gonna shake the buildings, it's a fire. Come on, gonna make you rise, it's all for love. Come on, kind of moving, facing us. We can when the time was up and time the wires. Come on, gonna move and kill, so bring us up. Come on, gonna make you rise, it's all for love.
When I was 15 years old, I went to Mexico City to do my sophomore year of high school, and I had only taken Spanish 1, so it was quite a culture shock. And me being a social being, it took a while to get my bearings, and it was probably the best experience of my life because it pushed me so far outside of my comfort zone that it changed the course of my life. Fun little trivia fact is I used to do makeup professionally, so I worked for a photography and film studio.
So I wanted to be a backup dancer. When I was growing up, there was a show called In Living Color, and I wanted to be a fly girl. Didn't work out so well because they got canceled, so I had to take a different career path, and I decided I love kids, and that's what brought me into being a teacher.
I'm Profe Winburn, and in my earlier 20s, I struggled a lot with family pressure and pressure from school expectations, and I was medicated for anxiety and depression until I started going to holistic therapy and meditation, and it completely changed my life and saved my life.
So why do I hate Vons so much? To be fair, I don't hate Vons so much. I hate the entire grocery business so much. But prior to working at Vons, I actually worked at UCSD doing the seismic research stuff. And you know, so what happened was, like, I ended up moving to Santa Barbara to be with my now wife, and I chased after her. So I had to leave SIO, move up to Santa Barbara, and when I went to Santa Barbara, I wasn't able to get a job doing similar stuff that I was doing in San Diego. And so, I mean, imagine you go from a job where you do very cerebral work and you know, very fulfilling work. It's interesting, and then all of a sudden you're pushing carts and loading people's bags of groceries. So it was a huge letdown, unfortunately, for me. So that was part of my hatred for Vons. But the other part was you wouldn't know what your schedule for the week was until literally maybe 2 or 3 days prior to the schedule coming out for the week. And you'd work 3 days in a row, and then you'd have like a day off, and then 3 days in a row and have maybe a day off. You never had a weekend. My employer, the boss, is kind of a jerk. Just terrible shifts and just not exactly fulfilling work, which is why I love being a teacher, because you can't say when you come into work that after a day of teaching that you didn't do something important. And when you think about it, after a career of teaching, you can't say that you didn't make a difference. And if I worked at Vons my whole life, I don't think I could go, wow, boy, did I really check groceries awesome for the world. Man, I'm a good bagger. It kind of lacks importance. So that's why I hate Vons.
Okay, so fun fact, I completed a marathon 10 years ago when I was 37. I thought something I might want to do is complete a marathon. And I don't know why, because I've never ran a mile before. And so I started training, and I was living in Colorado at the time, and I came to San Diego and did the Rock and Roll Marathon. But I say I didn't run it. I completed it because I didn't run the entire time, but I did complete it. So that was a goal that I was able to fulfill.
Hi CCA, I'm adopted. I've met my birth mom. My name would have been Higgins, and I found out that she was a teacher. So I guess it's in the blood.
I think my fun fact is I was born in Yosemite National Park, and probably one of the reasons I'm a biology teacher today is when I was a little kid, apparently, we had trees growing through my house because they weren't allowed to cut them down. And so oftentimes my mom would come in at night and find little mice sleeping in my crib next to me to stay warm. So I guess that's why I really like animals. And also we had bears. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I think part of the problem though was my mom always talked about the bears, and then I never put the two stories together about how she always used to put me in the backyard in a playpen by myself. So I'm wondering if I was bear bait. But I ended up becoming a teacher because I love science and I love nature, and I think there's no other gift than to bringing that to kids and creating a wonderful world where they always can find something to be interested in. That's it.
My name is Carl, and I'm a fantasy baseball nerd. I need help.